And we're live. We're back again. Slightly different location. Still kind of looks like the same, judging by the wall behind me, but it's not. I'm in a new location. Hello, Victoria. Welcome. Thanks for being here so promptly. I appreciate the keeping the time so well. I'm a big stickler for that kind of stuff. I think that's the way my brain works where when it comes to like time schedules and things. I'm always like when it came to job interviews, I was always like there well ahead of time. So I appreciate you. Thank you so much for joining me. Yeah, we're in a new location, and this is the fourth live stream I've done in the 4-week schedule now. So I feel like I'm keeping on track here and building a little bit of a routine. So I hope this is all well received by you guys that come and watch this. Hello, Marina. How are you? I'm just going to talk about you in a minute or two. All good. Hello, Omar. Welcome. Blue Balance. How are you all? Thanks so much, everybody, for coming along. I'll tell you what's a little bit weird tonight, right? I've got an audience. I've got an audience sitting watching me just now. A room which normally it's just Yvonne when we've been staying in past apartments. Hello, Julie. How you doing? Nice to see you. Thanks for coming along. Normally it's just Yvonne and I, right? And Yvonne's like lying in the bed and I'm on the dining table of whatever apartment that we're currently staying in. But tonight I've got an audience. I've got 3 pairs of eyes sitting staring at me. Hey, Rafi, how you doing? Nice to see you. I've got these 3 pairs of eyes sitting staring at me, so I'll introduce them quickly. Over to my left, I've got Oreo, and just in front of me in my eye line here, I've got Pie, and just down to my right-hand side here, I've got Laxa, and they're sitting watching me tonight. The two cats and a dog. And we're almost at the end. It's hard to believe. Project Weaver, welcome. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm glad you like the microphone. It changes colours, by the way, but I kind of like the blue. Maybe that's a bit of a homage to Blue Balance in his past career that I keep it on that blue. But it changes colours, but I feel that's a bit distracting on the eyes. Yes, I've got these. I've got this audience tonight. Yvonne's in the other room, which is also rare for the last 6 months for us. We normally just have a studio apartment, but we're currently on this house sit and we're almost at the end of it. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute or two, but I've got a couple of other topics I wanted to cover off first. Let me quickly say a big shout out to all of the people on Patreon that have signed up. It's slowly creeping up and I'm loving the audience that are joining me. I'm nearly at 60 members. I'm at 58 members right now. So I'm closing in on 60, which feels like a great number of people that's came across and followed there. This week, I held the second of the Zoom calls, which was, it's kind of like this, right? Only I have other people on the screen and talking to me and sharing their feedback. And I had Simon on, I had Marina on, and I had loads of questions from some other members who couldn't make it. I made a bit of a mistake on the call with the times, so it was a bit of a on me, but I'll fix that for April's call. But it was great. Marina and I, Simon and I sitting chatting, talking about stocks and shares, talking about investments, attitude to risk, all of that. It's been really great, and I had some really great questions come in about things like how do I manage my banking? Do I ever write in the money options on stocks that I'm interested in? And I was able to answer all of those. And then it's available as a watch back for members that sign up, but nearly 60 members. So I appreciate everybody that's joined me on Patreon. So thanks for that. Right, that's that bit out the way. So second live call this week, right? So I had the Patreon call and now I'm having this one. So I'm kind of getting into the routine of this kind of just chatting. I'll come back to the pets bit, Julie, in a few minutes, right? Because there's something else I wanted to cover off quite quickly. Yvonne and I have obviously been moving around, right? We've been kind of bouncing around between different apartments and stuff. Hello, Mr. Am I going to say that wrong? Emerald. I want to make sure I get that right. Emerald. Hey, welcome. Nice to see you. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, we're bouncing around between different apartments. Yvonne's in the bedroom just now. Not used to that. and the pets are sitting watching me like, "What's this guy doing?" Talking to himself. There may become an appearance at some point because they are known to just pop around the computer from time to time, especially Pi, who is incredibly affectionate as a cat. Laxa's only talks to me when food comes around. Um, I wanted to briefly talk about a channel that I've spotted recently and just mention it a little bit. A couple of people dropped me messages about this channel that popped up by a couple called Justin and Jill. I think it's called Justin and Jill Leaves for Thailand. I think that's if you go to Google, if you go to YouTube and you type in Justin and Jill Leaves, their channel will come up. They've got 2 videos they've posted so far. Somebody sent me, I'll tell you the sequence of events, right? Their video popped up to me, probably because we're in the same niche, right? Their video popped up and I started watching it. And I think their first video was about 30 minutes long. And I was kind of getting into it, and I think it was late at night, and I paused it, and then I forgot to go back to it. And then somebody mentioned to me, "Hey, have you seen this couple's video? It's very similar to you and Yvonne." And I went, "Oh, I've watched that." And I didn't re-engage my brain with thinking I haven't watched it the whole way through. And then tonight, by the way, I'll just do the little sense check here. It's just gone midnight, right? And it's Thursday, the 26th of March. Tonight, somebody messaged me and said they've got a second video and they've given you a shout out. I thought, oh, that sounds cool, right? I love that kind of idea that people give a shout out. So I went back and I made sure to watch the first video the whole way through. And I've got to say, it was really well put together. See, as a couple talking about their experiences, they've just got a real kind of camaraderie on camera, chatting away and doing all the kind of talking about their experience and their feelings. And they laid it out so well in their video, laid it out that they were leaving the UK and the reasons that they were leaving the UK, and they talked a little bit about their businesses and what their plans were and things like politics, which I could imagine as a YouTube channel myself, I've seen what the feedback can be like from that. And in fact, some of the comments that they mentioned were exactly the same kind of comments that I had received. Things like, "Don't let the door hit you on the arse on the way out," and all of that kind of stuff. So it's kind of, it made me reflect a little bit on this journey so far. And so I watched their second video, and they were talking in the second one about things that they've been considering for traveling, and insurance came up. And they had mentioned that they'd been watching my videos talking about the insurance situation and being half paid out for the money that I've paid out so far. So I'm avidly watching their channel. Now, there's kind of this thing on YouTube, right, where there's a lot of like gatekeeping goes on, right? So if you've got a channel and you've got a little structure, it's like, I want my viewers to be my viewers and all of that kind of stuff. And like, I'm just not into that, right? Like, YouTube is a massive platform, millions of creators, millions of, hundreds of millions of viewers, and people just watch what they want to watch, right? And so I'm mentioning their channel because I think it's worth you checking it out. Like, if you want to kind of see this kind of story, like this pattern of thinking about leaving and what they're going through. And the reason I say that, right, is because no story is the same. I always reflect on Daryl Solis, or Daz Moves as his channel's now called, right? I was watching his channel right at the beginning. He had a video that he posted when he was in Edinburgh talking about leaving the UK. And it ended up doing like 1 million views or something. I was so like impressive, right? And now he's been out here for, I don't know, 18 months or something, and he makes his content. And Yvonne and I have met up with him with a really good chat, had coffees a few times, and I enjoy spending time with Daryl. It's a Scottish accent to talk to. We share ideas and topics and things. But I remember at the beginning of our journey, people were always saying like, "Oh, it's easy for you because you've got no kids," right? And I would be thinking about Daryl, single man, traveling, leaving the country. So I'm looking at him, and at no point did I ever think, "Oh, that looks easy," right? Takes. If anybody here's been and travelled and stayed away for a period of time, you know that it takes effort, right? It takes mental fortitude, and creates separation from friends and family and money and everything else. All of that is none of that is easy. So I looked at Daryl and I was like, tell me what's worked, what's gone on. And all I did was take some of that. And then I thought, well, what can I learn from his experience and apply it to us? But it won't be the same because I'm here with my wife, right? We are leaving together. And then I talked to Richard, who's got his Britain to Beyond, I think his channel's called. And I've worked with him at the very beginning, talking about his YouTube channel, and kind of we had some calls together where I was kind of helping him with the structure and direction of his channel and everything, and his wife Carrie. And I would look at them, and I would always use them as an example. So when people said to me, "Oh, it's easy what you're doing. It's you've not got any kids," I would say, "Well, go watch this guy's channel. He's got 2 kids." And so when I saw Justin and Jill's channel, right, again, they are a couple, but here's the difference in their channel. They've got a little dog and they're taking the dog with them. And again, it's like just there's always these unique elements to like everybody's story, right? No two are the same. We're all different. And so, again, people are obviously saying like, "Oh, it's easy," and then obviously critiquing taking a dog away. And Jill was talking on her video about she rescued the dog in LA, I think she said, and then they've been back in the UK and they've travelled before. So, it's for me that's just fascinating to watch somebody else's experience and what they're going through, and also a little bit humbling for me that they've watched my channel and learned a few bits from it and gone on. So, I was thinking these things like, if you're trying to be a gatekeeper on YouTube, right? Like, my audience don't tell anybody about other channels and stuff. Like, I mean, that's an absolute that's a madness right there, right? And then you've got like here, right? So you've got I know Blue Balance has got his channel. He's just started it up recently. I was talking about this last week. If you haven't already, go and check out his channel. Give him a little follow. You can let me know, Blue Balance, if you hit the 100 subs. Yeah. I can see that as well. By the way, the 100, like any level of subs. Subscribers used to be an important metric on YouTube. It means nothing now. It's literally just a vanity number, and YouTube pays no attention. It's all about watch time, retention, click-throughs, comments, whether a comment is more than 8 words or not, how many comments are on a video over a period of time. Those are all the kind of key metrics. Whether somebody watches a video at the end or not. You get these little charts in your YouTube channel, which actually shows you where people start watching and then where they drop off again. So quite fascinating. Anyway, so right, let me have a quick look at the comments before I tell you that my next little tale, little story about what's going on. Let's have a little look. Wobbly Wheeler. Hello, Wobbly Wheeler. Love that name. That's a great name. Hey, John, may I ask you? I'm an artist. If I moved to Asia, painted and sold my art worldwide, would it be taxed in Asia? Like again, I need to kind of caveat these things, right? I'm not a tax expert. I'm not an accountant, but I research a lot. I'm one of these people that kind of dives into the weeds of things, right? So currently in Asia, well, here in Malaysia, let me give you about Malaysia because Thailand is different, right? I hope you're still here, Wobbly Wheeler. Currently in 2026, if you are a resident staying here, like you've applied for a visa to live here, you've met the requirements, or I mean, so many people just do this on a tourist visa. Right, great, you're still here. So many people just do this on a tourist visa, right? And listen, I see it so often in my comments, like what you're doing is against the law and you're breaking the rules of immigration and all of these kind of things. If somebody see the people who said that to me, see if you could point me to whatever website it is that lays out that me making content on YouTube is against the law. I'd love you to show me that because I just cannot find that anywhere. Now, here's what it says. Here's what my research has told me. Currently, for 2026, the rules in Malaysia is that you do not pay tax on earnings sourced outside of the country. So, I earn on YouTube. I get paid by Google, American company, but I'm paid through Google Ireland, which goes into a UK bank account. Now, technically, within the UK HMRC could be saying, well, we've seen that money go into your bank account. However, I don't live in the UK anymore. I've completed my documentation to say that I've left. That's on record. So I won't be paying tax. I'm not expecting to pay tax on earnings that I've made having left the UK. Here in Malaysia, on a tourist visa or on a 1 year extendable by another year visa for 2026, there's no tax to be paid on outside sourced income. The only way it triggers tax is if it was being deposited into a Malaysian bank account. Now, on a tourist visa, I can't apply for a bank account. If and when Yvonne and I are ready to make a longer term decision, maybe about Malaysia, and we apply for the 1 year visa, we can then apply for a bank account. Then I could have money paid into here. However, just for currently in 2026, there's no tax to be paid. Now, these things are always subject to change, right? Could always come round that they change these rules. It used to be here that you were subject of 20% tax, but they've removed that. Malaysia is on this massive drive to attract people, to attract nomads, digital creators, content creators, all of those kind of people. They're active. That's why they have a 90-day tourist visa, right? That's why you don't get that in Thailand right now. Thailand has just, I think they've agreed, but it hasn't been implemented, to change the 60-day rule down to 30 days, which seems nuts because they are having a massive tourism decline. So hopefully that kind of gives you some answer. But that's as far as I know right now. If I changed my Google account to be paid into a Malaysian bank account, I would suspect things would start to change. So for now, that's kind of the situation. Again, like I want to stress this, like I'm not trying to dodge tax. I'm just in a gray area right now where I'm traveling around, haven't yet decided where I want to settle. And I've left the UK and I've done the paperwork in the UK. Well, I'm in the middle of doing all of that right now. Because the question always comes up about the banking situation as well. Like, how are you managing this with your bank? It's like, I've got a UK bank account. I've left. The bank account's still open. Until the bank comes and says, you need to close this, it's still open. I'm not transferring loads of cash around. But all of these circumstances are unique to the person, right? It's like it comes down to you. Wobbly Wheeler, thanks. I guess I'll start a YouTube account and I'll sell my art. Let's see, like, I cannot talk highly enough. I'm going to string this into my next story, actually. This is a nice join the dots here, but I cannot talk highly enough about like, if you create art, right, you're obviously a creative person with a need for output. I relate to that. I've been a musician and DJ. I've created records. I've sold albums. I've been signed to record labels. I've done all of that and had a full-time job at the same time of doing all of that. I managed it all together. I know what it feels like to want to put something out there. So if you start a YouTube channel and you do that, it's just that, like, before it even gets monetized, before you make a penny on the platform, before you need to worry about tax or anything, it's just a great creative outlet. Like, it's just a really good way to connect with people, positive people. And, I am immensely grateful. 36 people are in this room and 3 pets are sitting, listening and joining me on a conversation on a Wednesday afternoon for you, evening for me. I'm super grateful for that. Like, I love this opportunity to be able to talk about this. So before I worry about a penny that comes out of it, I'm just grateful that I've been able to build this, because it's given me, gave me a totally renewed purpose after redundancy, like just a new outlet, something creative, a place to put energy. And so I'm grateful for that. So for you as an artist creating something, do it. Like, just start and learn. Like, it's never easy, right? I mean, I'll go back to that couple's videos. The first video they posted has had like either 60 odd or 90 odd thousand views. I mean, knock it out of the park with your first video. I think the second one's had like 30,000 views. What a start. What an amazing momentum builder. Just go on with it now. And what will happen now is you'll go through the ups and downs, the peaks and troughs, everything that comes with it, right? I look through the last year of videos that I've made, and I think I've had maybe 7 that have done like the 6 digits, and the rest is all like foundational videos. I had a video a couple of weeks ago, did 500 views. You just look at that and go, well, that didn't, not just content just didn't land. Maybe I didn't get the thumbnail right, title wasn't quite right, maybe just nobody was interested in that, right? So those are all the questions you go in. But I don't go, oh no, like panic. I just think, right, on to the next video. And that's kind of the joy of YouTube, right? You just make something else and off you go with it. All right, I hope that answered. Mark, hello mate, how you doing? Nice to see you. The lighting has just changed. I know, I'm in this house sit, right? And I just want to say this, right? I would never do like a tour of somebody's house. This is somebody's house that Yvonne and I have been invited. Well, we've applied on a website, right? So house sitters, trusted house sitters. We've applied, we're in a beautiful apartment. I would never go around somebody's apartment and be like, oh, this is the apartment we stayed in. That's just not that in my head, that's just not cool. I'll happily, if the pets pop around, let you, introduce you, but I would never go around somebody's house. But I'm in a beautiful apartment that's in Kuala Lumpur. Stunning location, beautiful outside grounds, like beautiful trees. Yvonne and I were sitting at the pool today and I saw the biggest butterfly or moth I've ever seen in my life. Yvonne took a video of it. It was like this. It was massive. I couldn't tell the head from the tail on it, to be honest with you. It was so impressive. But it was underneath Yvonne's lounger for a little bit. So I'm in this apartment. So the back wall was the kind of convenient spot, and I'm at their dining table. They return home. It's just gone Thursday here now. They return home on Friday, and we leave, and we're off to another location. So it's been a quick 9 days. Right, let me just check the questions, and then I'll jump on to stringing this together with another topic. So Wobbly Wheeler, I've got your question. Blue Balance, I have a tendency to speak to myself. See, the thing is, see if you're good at just talking to yourself like like this, right? Turn the camera on. That's what was great about the Patreon Zoom calls, because I had Marina and Simon who were just like, hey, John, chatting away with me. And it was like took me back to my my previous job where I'd be having international calls, just sitting chatting. The call was supposed to be 40 minutes. I think we got to about an hour and 20 minutes and it was late. And it was hot, so we all agreed we would end the call at that. But I was having a great time talking to them. But if you're good at talking to yourself and just being natural about it, then a YouTube channel is also great, right? Like, I always try and just champion this. You don't have to have 10,000 followers. Just get some views, get the views underneath your feet, and then build it from there, right? Just, start. Omar, how are you doing, Omar? Nice to see you. Hi, John. As the tax year approaches, have you touched on the subject of BED and ISA? ISA is generally for investment returns, so Nomad tax purposes. No, that's a really good point, Omar. I probably should just touch on that. I have ISAs myself. Yvonne has an ISA. We set them up before we left. We cannot add any more money to our ISA now that we're out the country, but we're allowed to hold the ISA. We're allowed to continue on generating income from it, from the stocks and shares or the money that's sitting in each of our ISAs. But we can't open a new one when you've left the UK. That's one of the rules behind it. So you can still hold it, still got that done. But no, I haven't made a video on it yet. I've actually, Omar, you are in the Patreon, right? So I know you see this content that when you're in there. I've got a couple of ideas. Actually, Marina was having a conversation with us this week, and she was talking about working on investments with her daughter, trying to set her daughter up to think about, longer term savings. And that got my brain thinking about just creating something that's like a where to start, because I kind of talk about this from a down the line, down the road level, right, where I've got money and I've kind of invested a little bit and I've got some stocks and shares. I said that there, like, I've got money, like, I'm pure baller. I've invested some cash over the last couple of years. I've saved. I think I started with like £50, £100 coming out. Like, I would pay my bills. And then if I had a little bit left before I did any kind of extracurricular stuff, before I booked a concert ticket or, planned a holiday. I put some money aside, and I just started from there and slowly built it up. And I didn't do that like, I didn't. I did that from 2020, not a huge amount of time, to kind of generate some income. And then I started to think about options, etc. So when Marina was talking about her daughter, I thought there's probably a topic here in just where to start. Like, open an ISA, put a 20 quid in it or whatever the minimum is in some of these places, a tenner or whatever else, and just start saving up as often as you can, every month, every couple of weeks, whatever you can do. Because I know there's some people who are starting from scratch, right? And I forget that sometimes because I'm talking about my own perspective. So I want to make that. And then also, I want to dive into some of the points that were fed back to me from Patreon, because there was some really good suggestions, some great comments on the Zoom that I posted. So I wanted to kind of turn them into a little bit of content as well. Let's have a little look. Victoria, 100%. Oh, it's Blue Balance. I'm here. Politics of being a tourist. Yeah, that's very true. There's always an opinion on anything that you're doing. I've just posted a video today about 3 big decisions, right? I posted it a couple of hours before this. And one of those topics was Avon's redundancy. And honestly, sometimes comments just really stick with me, good and bad, right? Sometimes they just, like, somebody can say something, it just lives rent free in my head for like a while. I mean, I'm thinking about comments now that would have been maybe April, or May of last year, but people said in the comments, "Oh, you've not left properly. You've obviously got intent to come back because of Yvonne's job." And I couldn't really say on the video, this is a strategy. We are employing a strategy here that if it works, Yvonne gets made redundant, gets a cash payout, and we're happy with that. If she just quits, like people in the comments were like, she should just quit, otherwise you're not doing this properly. You're obviously not really leaving. Like, there's things you just can't say sometimes, right? You try and share as much as you can, but there's always got to be something held back, because it's like the insurance thing, right? I can't say anything about the name of the company because I'm trying to take them to court. If I defame them now, they'll just be like, oh, well, this guy said this about us. So I've got to kind of hold things back, right, to see it through and try and deliver it. And it was the same with Yvonne. So on YouTube, there'll always be comments. And this is why I said on the video today, learn as much as you can from these videos. That's what I've done, watching people and reading comments from people. But it doesn't mean to say they're all right. Only you will know what is right for you. That's the important bit. All right, what else have I got? Yakimo, hello, how are you doing? Nice to see you. Thanks for joining us. I met some people going around Asia just staying in house sits. Right, brilliant. Thanks you've brought me back to the conversation here. This is like, it always makes me think of Billy Connolly when he goes off in tangents and then gets brought back to the story. Yakimo, I hope I'm saying that right. I met some people going around Asia just staying in houses. Let me tell you about what was cool about that. I take Oreo, the border collie, it's sitting just down to my left here, 3 walks a day at the weekend and only 2 walks a day during the week, because a dog walker, we're here house sitting to look after the pets, and a dog walker comes in the morning and takes Oreo. Oh, hello, Scottish and living in Malaysia. Awesome. Good for you. Thanks for telling me that. That's awesome. I love when fellow Scots join. I'm taking Oreo for a walk, right? 2 times a day during the week. So typically 5 o'clock, and then again at about 9, 10 o'clock, right? Yvonne and I, we go out into the city. So we're walking down by like the Petronas Towers and round KLCC Tower and all that. So just like, see, like, I have to sometimes remind myself, this is what we gave up everything at home for. Just like a quiet evening walk around the city with a dog and just enjoying the peace and quiet, like, of the city, like the overhead monorail going by, or I'd say monorail, you know what I mean, dual rail. Watching that go overhead, the subtle hum, like cars, everybody going home from work. So, again, slight tangent, right? Dog walking in Malaysia is interesting. Something I hadn't considered is the cultural view of a dog in Malaysia. So there's me, 6'1", tattoos, shaven head, dog, right? Even though it's a border collie, it's not like it's not giving off the vibes of like, right? It's a border collie. It's a lovely dog. It's so well trained. Like we're buddies now. He's sitting watching me just now. We're buddies after this week so far. Sleeps at the bottom of the bed. Absolute gem of a dog. I'm out tonight and I'm having a walk. McTav, how you doing? Nice to see you. Thanks for joining us, mate. I'm well, thank you. We're walking along the road right now. I'll say this. See, when you're walking the dog, most people really want to get out your way, right? They do not like the presence of a dog. And so I'm walking the dog along and I'm being very cautious of that, right? I'm being very respectful of people's views on dogs, and I've got the dog with me. Sometimes, like, he walks with you. He's very well trained. But tonight, a woman stopped us to say, beautiful dog, right? And that's out of all the walks I've done, this is the first person that said beautiful dog and stopped to talk about the dog, right? So she stops and she's like, oh, what a great dog. And I'm like, this is Oreo. He's super friendly. So she's petting him. She's like, oh, is your dog? And I'm like, no, we're house sitting. And the woman's like, that's what I do. I'm a pet house sitter. And I'm like, no way. And so we introduced ourselves right now. Her name was Marlene. I think hopefully I've got that right. If she watches this, I'll tell you why. So I'm standing talking to Marlene. She's Dutch, right? So the Dutch accent starts to come through from the initial introduction. I'm like, I'm Scottish, and she's Dutch. And she's like, oh, we're practically neighbours. So I'm saying to her, what are you doing here in Kuala Lumpur? She was like, oh, I've just done a pet sit. I've just been in Singapore doing a double pet sit there. And now I'm on my way to, I think she said Marrakesh, if I was remembering that rightly. And she's literally, sold her house in Holland, sold all of her personal possessions, and left to go travel. And she's on Trusted House Sitter, the same app that we're on, right? So think of all of the people in Kuala Lumpur out, right? We get stopped by the only woman who talks to us about the dog. She's Dutch, and then she starts telling us she's a house sitter. Same with us. So she was saying, oh, I'm trying to figure out how to make my money last a bit longer. And I was like, oh, we do YouTube. And she's like, no way. Like, so she subscribed. We're on the street. She subscribes to the channel. She's like, I'll watch your content. And she was asking, like, how much do you make from YouTube? And I was like, my channel, I tell everybody how much I make. It's kind of part of my ethos on the channel, is like sharing my experiences of doing house sits and trying to earn money on YouTube, and have given up a career. That was like a 15-20 minute conversation with somebody on the street tonight. And I was thinking, that whole like serendipity thing, right? You're out for an evening stroll. And of all of the nights, nobody has spoken to us. Like, honestly, people are just like wide swerve of the dog. And honestly, the dog is, you couldn't meet a friendlier, he's 5 years old, but I'm going to say a pup, right? A friendlier dog. So Marlene, if you ever get to see this, I hope you start your YouTube channel, get it up and running. I'm talking to her and I'm like, you do house sitting, you travel around the world. You've just been in Singapore, you've been in Kuala Lumpur, you're off to Marrakesh. Get a channel started. Tell people how you do it. The common question I always get asked is like, how do you make money? And I'm like, I've no idea. I'm just figuring it out. You're like, that imposter syndrome thing, right? Where you realize that most people are just making it up as they go along. And really it's just confidence that makes you think they're better at something than you are. Well, they're not. They're just figuring out ideas and getting on with things. And that's kind of like how it goes, right? Just coming up with ideas. Lad Glasgow, do you keep up to date with what's going on? I'm sad to say I do keep up to date. I'm not somebody who could just leave the UK and be like, I'm done with that. Yvonne gets frustrated at me because I do spend a bit of time watching videos about what's happening. I'll tell you what I watched today, right? I watched on replay like later. I don't sit and watch it live, but PMQs, Prime Minister's Questions. And I just have to ask myself, like, will he ever answer a question? Will he ever answer an actual question? The whole thing is just turned into a pantomime. And the Speaker of the House, Lindsay Hoyle, says, there's nothing I can do about it. The whole thing is just a waste of time. People's lives are being impacted by these clowns sitting there. I have no respect for any of them. I don't think any of them know how to do a job, run a company, never mind the country. And it's just so I digress slightly. Lad Glasgow, I'll tell you what I was paying attention to, Glasgow and that fire and all that's gone on with that as well. Yvonne actually, she was super sad. We lived in Tradeston, just across the Squiggly Bridge. We lived right there for 5 years, and we loved it in the city. Before that, I'm born in East Kilbride. So, A-Dash, hello, how you doing in Da Nang? I think Da Nang might be our next destination. We haven't looked at it yet. We're finishing this house sit in a couple of days. Well, it's Thursday now, technically Friday. Hey! Sorry, I didn't mean to shout there if I freaked anybody out. The dog's chasing the cat. Will I edit that out? Right, that's enough. A lot of you. I'm trying to run a household here. So I think Da Nang will be the next thing that if I burst anybody's eardrums there, I do apologise. I kind of got distracted slightly there with the chaos going on in the house. Da Nang, I think, will be the next destination that we might travel to. We're looking at the prices and everything just now and trying to figure out. We are kind of just weighing up between Thailand, and also I'm a bit nervous about just flights and fuel costs and everything else just now, just in the way that I've not even checked if it's exploded in price or not yet. So I need to have a look at that. I do know that Da Nang has gone up quite a bit in price for accommodation. I've kind of paid attention to that. What did he say? Yeah, exactly. Nailed it. Right, I'll tell you something else I wanted to dive into a little bit. Last week on the live stream, I talked about my old colleague, Bianca. I'll tell you, I spoke to Bianca afterwards and I said, do you mind if I talk about this in a video? I think it really lands with people. And she was like, absolutely. She actually gave me more information on it. But I was reading through the comments and, there was a couple of comments about the thing I can't say it because YouTube will give me into trouble, but that thing, right, saying a stroke at that age. She never actually had that. I didn't say that in the video because I didn't feel it was necessary. Yeah, that one PT18, she never had that, so it wasn't related to that. But it was interesting to read people, like, obviously it's a topic right now. I'll say this much. I'll just put this out there. I did have that thing, right? I resisted for so long, and I have to take my own ownership for this. So there's no projection here. When I was in that last job, I had to travel. I had to travel to keep the job. It was just part of it. And the company that I was working for in Germany, they had doctors coming into the office to give staff it, right? That's where we were at as a business. And I was left with a choice of, in my head, right, job or not. And now I have to live with the consequences of that. And I think about that all the time. And I think I'm fundamentally changed from that point on, just in a mindset. It was a real kind of shift in my view of governments and everything else that's going on with it. And I see what's going on now with the latest thing. And I just think, yeah. Yeah. So the Bianca thing, right? You had told that story, right? And I was thinking about this because Bianca had reached out to me and was saying, um, she's trying to rent out a flat. She's got a flat that's rented out. She's got her house. And then she's thinking about whether she stays in her job or not. And then she's had a mini stroke and she's got her daughter and she's thinking, do I want to leave the UK and go and do something else? That's kind of what's in her mindset. And, I was reading this week, I don't know if you saw, but do you see the guy who was kind of an investor on the OF pages, right? That's my next, that's where I'll end up next when I need to make more money. That's Scottish sarcasm. Relax. See the guy that was invested in at 47, I think, and he passed away of the big C this week. And it just goes to show you, right? All the money in the world, and yet, what if you had the choice, right? What would you do? Would you rather have more time, or all of that cash? And that's what sits in my mind. And that, I get asked all the time about money, like how much money did you have to leave? And I always think about this where, like, I've never thought I've got enough money to last. I don't think like that. I just think, well, I'm going to try and earn something to offset the expenditure of life. And that woman that I met tonight, the Dutch woman, she was saying, "Oh, I've sold my house and I've got this and I've got that, and I'm burning through more quicker than I thought. So I do the house sitting to offset it." And I was like, "Us too." And then that's why I was saying to her about the YouTube channel, and she was like, "Oh, it was a great idea, and I could get this up and running." And I'm like, "Look, just start it, right? Just start and see where you can go." And again, I don't rely on YouTube earnings. Like, it doesn't completely make up my income. I have to do multiple things to try and offset it. In early next week, I'll publish a video about my March earnings, and I'll share with you everything this month. Last month, I was in a negative position. I spent more than I brought in, which was a change, but I've been in better positions in previous months, and this month I've fared okay. So I'll share that. I'll share what I've earned on YouTube. I've now got 2 YouTube channels, and I earned a little bit. I got a bit lucky with a video on that other channel, and earned a little bit of money there, so it topped up. And I had Omar, who's in here, greatly sent a very generous donation on one of the live chats before. That really boosted the income this month, so thanks to Omar. I was very appreciative of that. And then I wrote a couple of documents that earned very small amounts of money, a couple of donations. I had a couple of people that sent donations, which was great as well. So it's all of these little pots of money, So somebody messaged me tonight on Instagram and said, "Could you tell me, if it's not too personal, how much money you have to live?" And I said, "Look, me telling you a number has no impact on your life and your decisions. That's you just aiming at the same bar that I'm at. And if I tell you the number, you might be disappointed. You might be like, what, is that it? Or how much? Like, I have no idea." But the way to think about this is, you know how much you have yourself, right? I can tell you how much my life costs. And again, only as an example, but you've got people that are out here living it and sharing information, right? More than just my channel, that are telling you like how to leave, what they're doing. Jill and Justin, how much does it cost to take a dog on a flight? How much, what's it like to travel with a dog? Richard and Carrie telling you about their 2 kids. Daz telling you about his single life. He's got a girlfriend now. Me telling you about what it's like with my wife. You can then take that information. You can take that idea, right? Well, John's lived previously for £1,500 a month, looks comfortable, and that's him and his wife. £2,000 looks like he's living really well. And then you take the number that you have and you divide it by that monthly number, right? And that gives you a runway. That will give you, that's 5 years, that's 10 years worth of living. And then what you need to think about beyond all of that is, do you have a pension? Is there any way that you can top that income up? Is there any way that you can make it last longer, right? That's like you then saying, like, if I can generate £1,000 in a month and my expenditure's 1,500, well, it means that I've made at least the money that I've got last a bit longer than burning through it instantly. Now, I watched another channel, a guy called, I want to say it's something like Mr. Right in the Philippines. I think his name is Mr. Right in the Philippines, and he put a video up, a very personal, deep video, right? That was I found that like difficult to watch because he's basically sharing that he's an older gentleman, I think in his 50s. He's moved to the Philippines. He had $150,000 plus another. He was about to bring in maybe a military pension or something like that, another $900. And he's absolutely rinsed it, blown it in a space of like a couple of years, blown the 150K. And he was saying he's pretty much broken. He's got a good YouTube channel with about 30 odd thousand followers. And he's basically gone out to Philippines, met a woman who's got a kid. They immediately rented an apartment that was costing like, I think he said $1,500 a month. So he's already outside of his budget. Then furniture and everything that went with it. Then the partner left him, and then he brought her back, and I'm just watching like these decisions that get made, right, and just rinsing through cash. There are so many ways to leave and do it right, and so many ways to leave and do it wrong. And there's no perfect path. There's no manual on all of this. You just got to try and make it work, right? So I'm talking to that house sitter woman, and I'm like, oh yeah, we're just about to finish this first one. It's been great. We've got a couple more lined up. I don't want to be doing these all the time because I'll say this: it's been like we've been busy this week. You know, the animals, the pets have been great. Oreo the dog is very sensitive to noise, and we've just had Ead here, fireworks galore, plus the storms most days. So he's super sensitive. So we've been kind of figuring out like how to look after him and get him his walks and make sure he's eating. One of the cats is super food more orientated and will steal the dog's food. So we've been figuring out like how to kind of deal with them at the same time. So it's been like Yvonne and I have gone from being like couple on our own, sitting at the pool, John makes videos, to we're looking after 3 animals in a household. It's been a big mental shift for us. We've really enjoyed it, but now we're looking forward to a break of like going back to just us for a short period of time before we step into our next one. The fireworks here, like some of them are like, they're honestly like landmines that go off. The noise is insane, and the poor dog just gets so stressed out. So I've kind of been sitting with him and just, you know, sitting in the same room as him. He hides in a room out the way, and him and I have just sat in the room. So he's like relaxed a little bit that somebody's sitting with him. We've both got an appreciation now of jazz music on YouTube. I just stick a jazz channel on and we sit, and the cats are just, Pi is very laid back. Laxka is like, food, give me food, always trying to manipulate you into getting treats and things out. And she's very, very talkative. So it's been like really, you know, to go from like just the two of us to that to back again has been quite an interesting process. But yeah, you know, it's like I see all these stories. Back to Bianca, mini stroke, wanting to leave, and then thinking about, you know, seeing videos of people, Jill and Justin, and all of that's just kind of played around in my mind for the last few days. Right, sorry, I've totally rabbled there. Let me go back and read some of the comments again. This is supposed to be a Q&A. I'm still laughing at Blue Balance's comment about the children and animals. It's so true. It is so true. Marina, I worked for the NHS and I had no choice. I know, like, I see people, like, obviously the conversation is, you had a choice. Kura said no. I get it. I can only shoulder my own decision, and you just got to accept choices that you made. I'll tell you this: my dad was on 5, and he was getting letters for the 6, and I was just like, absolutely no way. And I have so many question marks in my brain over that because of how much he deteriorated so quickly. And I was having like the, you know, myocarditis, right? Chest issues and all that. And my dad's whole thing came from chest issues. So That really lives with me. That you don't shake that off, do you? Victoria is having the guts to leave. I know this is it, right? It's like this isn't for everybody. There's so many unknowns attached to it that just won't be comfortable for a lot of people. You know, I live in a lot of unknowns. What happens about the tax? Don't know all of it. You know, I'm trying to figure it out. What happens about your bank account? Don't know. I'm figuring it out, right? Just like this is the thing. People say, how can you have a bank account? You've left the UK. You can't have a bank account. They'll close it down. Do you think the bank with millions of customers is honestly checking every minute detail? Sure. Will it happen at some point? Probably. Has it happened yet? No. I was talking to somebody recently. He's been here for 4 years, still got their UK bank accounts, no issues. They don't have a visa here. They're living on a tourist visa, leaving every 90 days, going somewhere else and coming back. And that's just how they've established their lives. Like, there's rules, right? Does everything follow by the rule? No. Look at the government. AJAC, for anyone on the road, I highly recommend go to international comms, legitimate UK mobile identifier. I can't tell if that's like a spam message or what. I'm not attuned to these things, or whether that's a genuine upfront message. A-dash, there are some amazing prices here in Da Nang. Thanks. Yvonne and I will be kind of trawling through it in the next few days and having a look. And then I'll let you know if that's where we're heading to. I need to actually do a few more, like just catching up with people. So many people invited me. See, when I first got here, right, I did make a video about this saying I just needed a bit of time. Hadn't really adjusted to the whole thing about like missing my dad with him being gone, and like the mental challenge of going, like leaving the country and friends and everything else, and then the adjustment, and then falling ill, right? There was just a lot of things happened in a quick space of time. And people reached out to me and said, "Oh, do you want to meet up for a coffee?" And I kind of rejected all of them because I just wasn't really in the headspace. But things have started to change a bit for me now, and I'm just feeling I feel in a very different headspace, and that's kind of reflected in how I'm physically feeling at this point now. Eating much better and, you know, just generally looking after myself. I'm not perfect in all areas, but I'm definitely making inroads to improvements. So I'm at this stage now where I'm like, if coffee meetups or something with people that are in locations, I'd actually be open to that. So A-dash, if you know a good coffee spot in Da Nang, maybe we could organise that. Baz, the Philippines is very expensive. Do you know, I don't think there's anywhere that's not creeping up in prices. It just, like, this is the thing, right? If you're able to earn a UK salary or an international salary, is it still cheaper than being at home? Yeah. If, like, again, if you were to come here and try and take up a job in Malaysia, would you be earning the same as in the UK? No. So the cost of living would be completely different. But the money does go further. So I appreciate a lot of places. It is getting more expensive. Rents are creeping up. Inflation's creeping up. Imports are creeping up. You know, all of these things are happening. But, you know, I go back to the UK, right? 1,200 quid a month rent, 300 quid a month council tax, 280, it'll be 300 now. So 1,200 quid, 300 quid, 20, 30 for water, 50 for the internet, another 50 for the green bin to get collected. Car was like 600, road tax, insurance, you know, go to the dentist, 500 quid when you need a crown fitted, or 600, or like everything's just so expensive. And then you come here and it's like, you know, get an apartment for like 350 quid or 290 if you land it in the right time, and then move on. And it's like, that's got your internet and everything included in it, right? I mean, these are the key points, but it's wanting to do that in the first place. No wonder he is blowing it, the budget. The fireworks, honestly, they just go on for so long. Windows rattling, yep. I mean, that's the thing. As soon as it goes off here, it's the poor dog just becomes a completely different animal at that point. Hello, Darren. How you doing? I left the UK 18 years ago and still use my Lloyd's account. Yes! Can somebody screenshot that? In fact, let me screenshot it. I'll do it quickly. Darren, I love it when people like you come along, right? Because it just let I know there's rules and regulations in place for things, right? And everybody's like, but the rules, but the rules. I mean, come on. Somebody told me that see that house sitting? There was a comment. It was like, that's illegal. You're working. I'm like, I'm not working. And then somebody was like, oh, I bet you're taking money on the side. I'm like, oh, you'll never please people in the comments. You'll never, you've just got to shift your mindset and be like, you'll never make people happy. You put out what you put out, you answer what you can, and then you just move on. Somebody was like, oh, I bet he's taking money on the side. I haven't taken any money for working for doing this house sit, right? Yvonne and I are here. We're living here in a nice apartment that we could never afford to live in. Like I looked Agoda up for a same apartment in this block. It was way out of our league. Way out of our league. This is a lovely 2 teachers apartment, and they're on holiday just now. And so the exchange is we're taking care of the pets, and that's it. You can't work on a tourist visa. That's the comment. I'm not working. I'm caring for pets. I don't get a salary. I haven't deprived a Malaysian of a job. I don't work for a Malaysian business. But you just can't answer it in the comments, right? See, like, and in fact, forget it. I'll go back to the comments in here. But Darren, thanks for posting that, mate. I love that. Lloyd's bank account, 18 years. Out of interest, Darren, do you log on to it just wherever you are? Do you use a VPN? I try and always make sure I use my Revolut account normal, but see the other bank accounts when I want to check what's going on or if I've received money from Google or anything, I log on with a VPN. I'm going to have to do something I haven't done in any live stream so far, but it's so warm. It's so warm. Let me just confirm. It's 1 o'clock in the morning, and it's currently 26 degrees, which is a hot Scottish summer. I can tell you that much. Right, let's say, I'll tell you what else I've been looking at. Stocks, right? My stocks and shares. Next week, I'll make a video about how much money I made in the month, right? And I had a couple of cash secured puts that did okay this month. Nothing spectacular, just enough to, again, top up the pool of money coming in that just helps towards life and means that savings aren't dwindling away. But I have my stocks and shares, and I'm mainly invested in SoFi and GameStop are the 2 that I hold. Those are the ones that I've followed for since 2020. SoFi's been up and down and left and right. But I've made a little pot of cash, like $100 or something, writing a covered call on some of the stock that I held, which was basically saying I'm willing to let that stock go. It climbed up to about $20 a week or so ago, and I wrote a covered call saying I would let some stock go for $22, and then it's pulled back and it's dropped back to, let me have a look and see what it's at now, but it pulled back to about 16, 17, it's at 16.78 just now. So I then closed the covered call and earned, I think, $92 or something. So that's $92. That was done in the matter of a few days out of the stock that I already owned. So that was a little chunk. Trying to think what else. I think I had a couple of, I buy a company or a watch a company called Rocket Lab. It is a rocket company that does kind of similar stuff to like Elon Musk's rocket company. And when Tesla's going up, Rocket Lab goes up. And I also own some stock in a company called Spire, SPIR, which puts rockets into space to do weather satellites, and it's been performing pretty well. So I wrote a couple of, I wrote a, let me think about this now. Did I jot it down? I did jot it down. Oh, I wrote a cash secured put on Rocket Lab, which means I intend to buy the stock, but I did it as a, I did it as an out of the money at $59 when it was at, I think, 68. And today it's gone up to, let me have a little look. Today it's gone up to 73.20. So it's climbing away from the position that I said I was going to buy it at. And I think I'll close that out shortly, buy it back for a small profit on it. But I'd done something similar earlier in the month and made a little bit of my cash on that as well. Now, on the Patreon stuff, I'm going to break down each of these positions in posts coming up. I'm going to actually share which each of them were, what I wrote, what strike price I wrote it at, and then what I earned from it. On the YouTube video, I'll just share the kind of high level earnings from it. So depending on what your level of interest in all of this is, that's really like the options part for me is the kind of generation of cash. That's where I'm just earning little bits here and there, just topping up my income. And Omar, who's probably still in here, raised a good point recently about, I think it was either an ETF dividend account or just a dividend account where, see, if you've got cash and you don't want to be doing all this stock options thing, like just finding a really good stock that pays a solid dividend or an ETF that has a dividend attached to it means that you can just be paid like a quarterly statement. Like Apple is a company that pays a dividend, right? So you find a company that you want to own that pays a dividend and then make a little bit of cash out of it, and that can just top up your income every single month. So there's lots of ways to to generate some cash on all of this. Without having to be maybe considered too risky on all of this. Blue Balance, lots of people just love to be negative and pick holes. Like, tell me, Blue Balance, how is this your first channel? You haven't like had other channels on YouTube where you've got some experience there, or is this your first foot or toe dipped into YouTube? And if so, what has been your experience like of comments, etc. So far? Like, how are you managing with it? I had mentioned recently, right? I made I was trying to be a bit sarcastic, Scottish about council tax and where I was staying at the time, right? Now I made it thinking like just the people who followed me on Instagram would see it, and it's now at 1.2 million views. And I posted the same video onto YouTube as a short, and it's done 275,000 views. So across the two platforms, 1.5 million views. There was one guy in the comments who basically said, here's all the things that I was avoiding paying. And he named like the NHS and schools and roads and the fire station and the police. And he named, the list was massive, right? And I think he like the replies are still happening now where they've just torn him to bits. I think he's deleted his account. Like his profile picture is missing. That's not even to me. That's to somebody who was responding to me. And people are just like, shut up, you talk absolute nonsense. Now, there's plenty of that gets said to me in it, right? And like when you do this kind of stuff and you talk about these kind of things, you have to have an incredibly thick skin. I don't even look at the comments on Instagram. I don't read them. I just, like, your brain's not designed to process 50,000 comments from people all with a different opinion. You're just not meant to take that level of input. So I just don't read them. I did at the very beginning. I was like, oh God. And then it just grew and grew and grew. And I was like, oh, that's too much. But every day I open up the app, make a new video or a post or something, and it's just comments, and it's all related to that video. And when I have a glance at the high level part of it, most of it is people replying to that same guy, calling him out, because he was effectively trying to have a go at me because I'm not paying my council tax because I don't live in the UK anymore and I've left. And I was comparing the price of the council tax to the apartment that I was living in. And then he had a go, and now everybody's having a go at him. The internet is really still the Wild West at times, right? Ajax, John, sorry, I missed my last comment read as spam. I'm one of your Patreon subscribers. Oh, hello, how you doing? Sorry, I mean, I'm like, again, sometimes when I'm talking, right, my brain is like in process mode with it, and I've got my little notes here, right, of the things that I'm kind of working through. I always scribble down a few notes, and then I read a comment, and I'm like processing it as well. So apologies, I didn't mean to think it was spam, but I just hadn't quite read it. Anyway, thanks also for being a Patreon member. I appreciate you. That's I appreciate everybody who's gone over there. You can join the Patreon thing for free, and you will see some posts. Like I share things in the free section. There's also 2 chat rooms, one for the free members, which has everybody that's on the page, and then one for the members that are in the tiers that sit above. If you want to access any of the actual videos, all the stuff that I create, it's £3, starts at £3, and there's 3 tiers, £3, £5, £10. £3 gets you access to the videos. £5, we message back and forth in DMs, direct messages. I'll message you every month to check in, see what's going on, see if there's any content that you're looking for. And at the £10 level, we have a live Zoom every single month. And also for the £5 and £10 levels, I put your names in regular videos to say thank you for the sponsorship. So that's it. And I think there's about 80 different posts or something made already. GD Math 123. Thank you so much for that donation. I really appreciate you. And I will have, do you know, right, I haven't talked about this, right? I'm having some some pains in my side. And I think from what I can check out, it's like it's my gallbladder. I've got a bit of an irritation. Now, I've read about gallstones, and I'm slightly, excuse my language, slightly shitting myself to have to go to the hospital because I'm like, not again. So I'm actually not drinking coffee just now because what I've recognized is that the 2 irritants are coffee and like fats, like chocolate, milk. I had a protein shake, and that's where it came on. And I was like, oh my God, it was so painful. But I've lost quite a bit of weight, and the gallbladder can get irritated when you lose a lot of weight quickly. And also, I went through a lot of antibiotics when I was having the kidney stone surgery. So my gut is taking a pounding from the antibiotics. I've lost a lot of weight just training and getting fit. And so there's a few things there that are irritants. So coffee. So I won't have a coffee on you, but I will find something like a nice, I'm really into like nice coconut drinks just now. There's a little marketplace outside the apartment, and I went and got Yvonne today a Vietnamese coffee from a stall that was out there. The guy was super nice, and Yvonne had this milky, and I had a little sip on it. That was just enough. So thank you. That was a long way of saying thanks to GD Math, was to tell you my my bodily issues with my gallbladder. Oh, too funny. Victoria, I bug you enough. Never. I'm always grateful for the comms that I get. I do like this weekly newsletter, right? It goes out on a Friday. I think there's about 300 odd people or something on it now, and I always get such nice emails back from people that just relate to the stories and share with me their own experiences and things. And Victoria, you send me regular emails as well. I read all this stuff. I read a lot of I read pretty much all of the comments on the YouTube videos as well. And I try and reply to as many as I can because I appreciate the input. I appreciate people watching the videos and saying a few things back to me. Blue Balance, to be fair, not too bad. Most are mainly positive. I did put up a short on TikTok. TikTok is a platform. People keep asking me, like, why don't you do TikTok? See the Instagram post, right? 1.2 million views, 0 cash. 275,000 views on YouTube, £20. I'm immensely grateful because the most I've ever been paid for a short so far has been like 75 pence. So to earn £20 was like holy goodness. Hello, Justin. How you doing? But I get asked all the time about doing TikTok, and I just think I can't do it. I can't go on that platform. It's too savage. God, it's warm. See, when I finish these, John, TMI. When I finish these calls, I normally go for like a cold shower before I go to bed after that because it's like it's coming up for 1:15 in the morning, right? It takes me a little while to kind of detune from like the conversation and comments and everything else. I love the interaction, but it gets my brain whirring. And then I come off the call and have a cold shower, and my t-shirt is like, I'm sweaty. It's hot. I'm Scottish. I'm not used to this kind of weather. But yeah, it's TMI, John. TMI. Full-time job, reading emails. Victoria, you're not wrong. Yvonne is about to buy a laptop. I mentioned this on a video the other week there, right? People always ask me about Yvonne taking part in the videos. She's like comfortable at when she appears and when she doesn't, right? She floats in and out. And when we see like Justin and Jill and they just like a naturally free-flowing, talkative couple on camera, Yvonne just likes to appear and not, but she's like quietly working on things, and she's been building an app that she's been working on just out of nowhere, started building an app. And she's been building a blog that she wanted to write about her perspective of the traveling. So she's wrote the first couple. I think she's going to make a Substack, but we want to get her a laptop. So right as we were about to buy it, Apple announced their new laptop. So they've got this new Apple Neo, and then there's a new MacBook Air. And so we're going to go and get Yvonne a laptop. We're just waiting for it to arrive in Malaysia, and then we're going to go to the Apple store in the TRX Centre, and Yvonne's going to buy it. And I'm quite looking forward to this because normally I buy the techie stuff and all that, right? It's been my job working in tech for years. It's kind of my hobby. And Yvonne's always just been like, yeah, you get it. But this occasion, it's Yvonne that's going to buy the laptop, and then she's going to write her blog and everything. So she's kind of mentally positioned herself that she's like, right, get this laptop and then I'll start the blogs. And she's going to help out a little bit with some of the emails and things, not to like just, help me get through some of them, because I like to reply to people and do what I can. So anybody that wants to send me an email, john@johntalksabout.com. It's as simple as that. Justin, how are you doing, mate? How's things with you? What have you been up to? Don't worry about being late. Never late. What else have we got? Anne, how's it going? Haven't commented in a while. Pleased to see you looking so well. Thanks so much. Do you think I look well? I appreciate that. I weighed in this week, and I'm trying to think what I was before. I think off the top of my head, I think I was something like 83 kilograms. I think I was like 14 something stone, and I weighed in on there's scales in the gym here, which is the first time I've had a chance to step on the scales. And I was 75 kilos, which was 11 stone 12. So from 14 stone to 11 stone 12. And I feel very healthy, and I feel very sharp for 48. And not enough people talk about this, right? But see the whole cortisol stress in your belly, like tension and stress and all that, right? You just don't realize how much of that you carry around with you when you're like, jobs and everything else. And I've just felt all of that since like the surgeries, the kidney stones, then dealing with the insurance. And the insurance is like out my hands now, right? It's with somebody else. My dad's stuff all put away, and just finally kind of settling into life. I've just felt all that melt away. And as a result of that, it's just kept me healthy. And this week, I've been doing like 13,000 steps a day with the dog, me and Oreo and Yvonne, just out pounding the pavements. And then again, just eating healthy at the back of it all. Yvonne and I went to an Italian tonight called Lucci, which we went to when we first arrived here. And it's just up the street from us. So we went there tonight. I had a spinach, walnut, beetroot, and feta cheese salad to start. And then we shared a pizza, but they made it in house. Sorry, super thin pizza and no cheese, just tomato and garlic on the top of it. Nice, rich tomato sauce. And I had that because I was trying to think about the gallstone issue. Cheese is one of the things that irritates me. So we had this tomato pizza, and then we shared um, what's the thing you get with egg and they have the crust over the top of it with like sugar and they blowtorch it? What's that thing called again? I've got tiramisu in my head, but it's not a tiramisu. I can't think. Somebody tell me in the comments, what's that eggy thing? Creme brulee. Jenny on it, like a carb on it. Creme brulee. We shared a creme brulee between us. And I think it came to 250 ringgit, which was like £50 or something. And we had two beautiful mocktails to go with it, which were fresh ginger, soda water, cinnamon powder. I think that was it. It's called a refresher. And see when it came out, you know, when you just get a drink, you could just scull it in a second. It was like that. Anyway, thank you everybody that jumped in with the creme brulee. Kelly, evening, John, loving the live chat. Retired 4 years ago, age 50. Awesome, legend. Life is too short. I travel around Asia most of my time. Had some great experiences. See, I love it when I hear from people that are kind of living and breathing it, right, and just reach out. I find all of that inspiring when I hear from other people that are just out there getting on with it. Right, I'll tell you one last little bit, right, and then that'll be us. This will probably take us up to 1/2 past, and that'll be a 90-minute session, which I think is good. I talked about this the other week. There are films that I'm watching, right? Yvonne and I, we sit with a laptop at night. With the room we're in, there's no TV, so we get the laptop out and we watch a film. And Pi, the cat, comes and sits and watches, and Oreo sits at the end of the bed, and Laxka, the other cat, doesn't come in because there's no food. There's an automatic cat feeder here that goes off at 5:30 in the morning and 9:30 in the evening, and that cat never leaves that location. She sits there all day waiting in that thing going off, and that's the routine. But Pi comes and sits in front of the laptop and watches the film with us. So the last 2 nights, I watched a couple of... I have Apple TV, right? And I've got loads of films that I've bought. And you used to have an Apple TV box to watch Apple TV, and now you can just watch it on like smart TVs or on your laptop. So I've got all these films that I've paid for. And then I'll say to Yvonne, should I get Netflix so we can watch films? Or we have an Amazon Fire Stick, right, with one of those accounts on it. So it's plugged into the TV in the living room. We're watching like YouTube and all that through it. But when we go to sit down and watch the laptop, I've either got Apple TV or I've either got YouTube or Apple TV. That's the two that I was trying to think of. Sometimes you get a bit bored with YouTube, right? I mean, I'll watch pretty much all content on YouTube, but when you want a film... So we sat down the other night and I was like, right, let's watch a film. And then I start looking for like new movies, right? And it's just, there's nothing to watch. They're all rubbish. So I'm trying to go back through old films. And I was saying on the last live stream, I've been watching things like Mona Lisa, The Long Good Friday, those kind of old classic films. So we brought it a bit more up to date recently. We watched 2, and I want to know if anybody's like, if you've watched these and if you can appreciate them. The other night we watched True Grit, which is a Coen Brothers movie. I love the Coen Brothers, right? The Big Lebowski is a big favourite of Yvonne and I's. We love the Big Lebowski, but also things like Burn After Reading and Fargo and those movies. Like they two brothers are just phenomenal. So we watched True Grit, which is the kind of cowboy film. I just really enjoyed it. It was just a nice, relaxing, pleasant watch. Watched it. It was really good. And then last night we sat down and we watched Layer Cake, which is Daniel Craig. And that's just like, it's just kind of got that British gangster, it's just gritty enough with enough kind of twists and turns and all that, that you can just watch it, see it again, and then see it again and not have to like stress that you've seen it too many times. Like I've always had that kind of ability to be able to watch films multiple times, but I need a gap. I need a break, enough of a break to sit and watch it. So that was a couple of the films that we watched the last few nights. And I said to Yvonne, here's what we're going to do. We're going to go back through the Apple movie collection and we're going to watch every film that's in my movie collection again, because we've paid for them and we've probably only watched them a couple of times, once at best for some of them. So we're going to go back through them all. And I've got like The Godfather and I've got like films like Saw and all that, like the whole Saw collection. I've got Lord of the Rings. And honestly, I've never watched the three of them, but I'm like, I bought them like on Apple TV because I was like, oh, we should sit and watch these. And then I've never got around to watching them. So I need to have a little go at that as well. So those are the last films that we watched. True Grit, which I thought was great. I forgot Matt Damon was in True Grit. And it's Jeff Daniels, right? From, is it Jeff Daniels? Jeff Daniels from Jeff Bridges. From The Big Lebowski, that's in True Grit. Plays a great character in that. Lord of the... Yeah, see, when I go to put it on, right, and I say to Yvonne, will we watch Lord of the Rings? She goes, it's 3 hours long. And I'm like, yeah, not really got 3 hours in me tonight. Because we tend to always sit down and watch these things when it's like super, super late at night. Right, that probably just about wraps all that up. Have I missed anybody's main questions or comments? I always title this as a Q&A, right? And then I end up rambling away. But I appreciate everybody coming and spending a bit of time, especially because, what is it gone now? Like coming up for 5:30 your time. I would love to, I tell you what I'd like to do, right? I'd like to do one live stream where it was maybe like a Friday or a Saturday night, and it was a bit later. I could sit with I always talk about not drinking, but I could sit with a glass of wine and we could just have a Saturday night blether and just talk about like whatever's going on and just, chat, talk questions, talk comments, but just have like a Saturday night, like, cold glass of red wine and you guys all sit and have a little drink and we just sit and chat about all that. But that's a stream for another day. Right, I'm going to go and have a nice shower. Thanks, Mark. I'm going to have a nice shower. Victoria can never get away from Still Game. My dad did all of the DVDs, Still Game and Only an Excuse. And if anybody that's Scotch and Rye, right? I mean, the New Year shows of like Scotch and Rye and all that. My dad did all of those DVDs. All of the old Billy Connolly stuff and all the old comedy stuff. I used to love going through all of those kind of programs. But 2 packs of JD20 or J20, I'm saying JD20. Right, folks, thank you so much for joining in. Thank you for that tip donation earlier on. I'll have a nice coconut drink with Yvonne on that. And we'll be back. I'll hopefully be doing next Wednesday again. But in the meantime, if you want to jump across and join me on Patreon, please do. The link is always in the description to each of my videos. You can join the membership for free, but the real access starts from about £3. And I'll have more videos at the end of this week rounding up what's happened to the rest of this house, how it's gone, our experiences. And next week, the earnings video where I talk a bit more about how much money I've made this month, where it's came from, and again, just answering any questions on all of that. Thanks, everybody. Oh, let me just go back, Kelly. I messaged Justin and Joe yesterday, as I've mentioned, the contact. Good for you. I was talking, you've been here for most of this, I think, talking about catching up with them. I left them a little message on their second video, just saying thanks for the shout out, and if we're ever in the same area, I'd love to catch up with them. So that was very good of you. I am open now. I've got an itchy nose now. Anybody that wants to reach out to me now, drop me a note of where you are, and if we can catch up and have a coffee or something, I'd like to arrange that. That would be awesome. Baz, thank you so much. Scots Reunited. Everybody, enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.